Right now, as you read these words, you probably believe something is traveling from this screen to you, something real, something with substance, something out there in the world moving through the air, carrying meaning straight into your head, and you would be wrong. What reaches you is not a voice, it is not music, it is not sound in the way your intuition imagines it. What reaches you, when you hear anything at all, is a chain of microscopic pushes, air molecules bumping into air molecules. The air near a speaker gets compressed a tiny amount. That compression pushes on the next batch of air. That push transfers again and again, like a long invisible line of dominoes falling across the room. And by the time that disturbance reaches your eardrum, what arrives is almost embarrassingly small. The pressure variations in ordinary speech are on the order of 1 part in a million of normal atmospheric pressure. 1 millionth. You can laugh at a joke. You can cry at a song. You can trust a voice, fear a voice, fall in love with a voice because the air pressure around you changed by 1 millionth. This is the first shock. Sound is not exotic. Sound is mechanics. It follows the same laws that govern a rolling ball or a braking car. When something moves in air, it compresses the nearby air. That compressed region has higher pressure, and higher pressure pushes on the air next to it. The neighbor compresses and pushes again, and a wave of compression moves outward from whatever created the disturbance. But notice what is missing from that description. There is no special substance called sound. There is no magical medium. There is only matter, molecules, jiggling, colliding, passing along a tiny shove from one neighbor to the next. It is like a stadium wave. Nobody in the crowd actually travels across the stadium. Each person stands and sits. The pattern moves. The information moves. The crowd stays put. Sound is a crowd phenomenon. One molecule cannot make a sound. A handful cannot either. Sound only exists when there are enough particles packed closely enough together for their random collisions to carry a collective disturbance forward. And that condition, enough particles close enough, turns out to matter more than almost anyone realizes, because if you remove the crowd, the entire mechanism collapses, and even when the wave does make it across the room, even when it reaches your ear, the real trick hasn't happened yet. The real trick happens inside your skull. For a sound wave to survive, the pressure variations must be large compared to the distance an air molecule travels before it hits another molecule. That distance has a name, the mean free path. If the pressure changes were happening on scales smaller than the mean free path, the molecules wouldn't behave like a coordinated crowd. They would simply wander from high-pressure regions to low-pressure regions and smear the disturbance out. The wave would dissolve before it ever got anywhere. So sound is not just motion. Sound is organized motion. It's what happens when random microscopic collisions lock together into a large-scale pattern. Now let the pattern reach your ear. Out there in the air, nothing meaningful has arrived, just pressure going up and down. The wave strikes your eardrum. The eardrum vibrates. That vibration moves 3 tiny bones in your middle ear, the smallest bones in your body, which amplify the motion and pass it into the cochlea, a spiral structure filled with fluid. Inside are thousands of hair cells, each tuned to different frequencies, converting mechanical motion into electrical signals. Those signals travel through nerves into your brain. And now physics hands the baton to biology, because your brain takes those electrical pulses and produces something no pressure wave contains: a voice, a melody, a feeling, warmth, threat, comfort, meaning. Out there in the air, none of that exists. In the air, there is no sadness, no beauty, no hello, no I love you. There are only compressions and rarefactions. Your brain is the thing that paints the experience. It takes raw data made of jiggling air and builds the world you think you are hearing. There's a second beautiful property of waves that makes this possible: superposition. 2 sound waves can pass through each other without being destroyed. 2 people can speak in the same room. Their pressure patterns overlap and then continue onward. Each one reaches your ear carrying its structure, at least in the physics sense, and that has a crucial consequence. If high frequencies traveled faster than low frequencies, a hand clap wouldn't arrive as a single sharp crack. It would arrive as a smeared descending chord, with the highs arriving first and the lows dragging behind. The fact that in air frequencies travel at roughly the same speed is what preserves fidelity. The pressure pattern is carried across the room as a faithful copy of the disturbance. But fidelity of pressure is not fidelity of experience. everything that makes sound feel like sound, the what it is like, is your brain's construction. Now take that idea seriously, and you're forced to see something most people never consider. All of this, every word you've ever heard, every song that ever moved you, depends entirely on one thing. There has to be something there to push. Sound requires a medium. Air, water, metal, rock, anything made of particles packed closely enough together for one to bump into the next. Remove the medium and the mechanism disappears. No particles, no collisions, no collisions, no wave, no sound. And that leads to a fact about reality that feels almost unreal the first time you truly absorb it. Most of the universe is not quiet. Most of the universe is a place where sound is impossible. Space is a vacuum, so empty that particles are separated by enormous distances. There is nothing like a dense crowd of molecules to carry a coordinated pressure disturbance. So even the most violent events in the cosmos have no sound in the literal mechanical sense. A supernova can outshine an entire galaxy for weeks. The energy release is beyond imagination. There are shock fronts, real waves ripping through plasma and gas. There is radiation. There is light. But if there is no medium at your location, there is no sound to hear. Acoustically, the explosion might as well not exist. Galaxies can merge in slow gravitational dances over hundreds of millions of years, with hundreds of billions of stars. Spectacular on every scale you can imagine. And acoustically, it is the same story. No medium, no sound. Sometimes people mention the sound of a black hole, and it sounds like a contradiction. But those famous audio clips are translations. Scientists observe pressure waves in hot gas within galaxy clusters. A medium exists there. Then they shift the frequencies into the human hearing range. It's data turned into sound, not a microphone recording of space. The universe didn't suddenly start making noise. We just learned to convert numbers into an experience. Now here's where the story gets deeper. Even on Earth, even in the one thin skin of atmosphere where sound can happen, what you call sound isn't sitting in the air waiting to be discovered. The wave is real. The vibration is real. But the experience, the thing you point to when you say, "I heard it," is being built by a nervous system. And that leads directly to the classic question. If a tree falls in a forest and nobody is there, does it make a sound? Physically, it produces a pressure wave. Leaves shake, air compresses. The event leaves traces. But the experience of sound, the sensation, requires a listener. It requires the whole chain: eardrum, bones, fluid, hair cells, nerves, cortex. Without that chain, you have mechanics, you have vibrations, you have jiggling, but you do not have hearing. Now hold that thought, because it connects to something even stranger. The difference between a physical signal and the meaning we attach to it is not just about sound, it's about everything you perceive. 1500 to 2000. Your senses are not windows, they are translation machines. Sound is pressure, your brain invents the voice. Color is frequency, your brain invents red. Touch is mechanical interaction. Your brain invents cold and warm in ways that can be wildly misleading. A metal railing and a wooden bench can be the same temperature, yet one feels colder because it pulls heat from your skin faster. Your hand isn't measuring temperature, it's measuring heat flow, and your brain labels the experience as cold. So you are not directly experiencing reality. You are experiencing your brain's best guess about reality, built from incomplete data, processed through biological hardware that evolved for survival, not for truth. That sounds depressing until you notice the escape hatch. Physics. Physics is the method we invented to peek behind the translation. When you learn that sound is a pressure wave, you learn something your ears alone could never tell you. When you learn that color is a slice of the electromagnetic spectrum, you learn something your eyes were never designed to reveal. When you learn that temperature is average molecular motion, you stop being fooled by sensations that were never meant to be accurate instruments. And here is the part people get backward. Understanding does not reduce wonder, it upgrades it. The first kind of wonder is passive. You see something beautiful and you say, "Wow." The second kind is active. You see something beautiful and you understand the chain of events that had to come together for it to exist at all. And the wow becomes deeper because now you see structure where you once saw magic. Think about it. You are made of the same kinds of atoms that fill the stars. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, common ingredients scattered across the cosmos. And yet on this small planet, inside a thin layer of gas, those atoms arrange themselves into systems complex enough to take a millionth of a millionth pressure fluctuation and turn it into a symphony. Most of the universe is empty and silent, not because nothing happens, but because hearing itself does not apply. And then, in one tiny corner, something appeared that could listen, not just listen, translate. And then, because it could translate, it could wonder what it meant to hear. That is the strange truth behind sound. The wave is real. The mechanics is real, but the world you hear is something you build. You are not hearing reality, you are constructing it. And once you see that, you start to realize the same thing is true of everything you think you're perceiving.